Well, I saw that today is National Viagra Day. Yeah. To celebrate, President Biden ordered all the White House flags to be flown at full staff.
Last night's big joke, again, they don't follow the news. All the flags were ordered to half-staff yesterday by Joe Biden because of the catastrophe in Baltimore. Comedy isn't really their lane, is it? No. Not. Democrats, a lot of racial issues, a lot of gender issues, a lot of confusion. Not smart people. Whoopi Goldberg, Sonny Hostin, Don Lemon. You know, Democrats. Not on the side of anything good. Some stories I touched on a little bit earlier, but really haven't gotten into fully that I want to share with you. I want to share some wacky stories that these people have. Here's one that's just classic. This is what Democrats are doing to the world, not just the country. The New York Post has the story. Australian, I wish I'd been able to talk to Jason about this, but Australian soccer team with 5 transgender players goes undefeated in women's tournament. Now, when you see that in Australia you have a soccer team with 5 transgender players, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, it's a men's team and there are 5 women playing on it who are pretending to be men. No, I know you didn't think that. Nobody thinks that. Nobody would ever think that. It's always men pretending to be women because it's cheating. And Democrats love cheating. They cheated everything. Australian soccer team with 5 transgender players, meaning when men pretending to be women, goes undefeated in women's tournament. And I saw this morning and I shared it with friends at Newsmax, actually. And I said, yay, ... men. No, what are you supposed to say? And then in quotation marks, huge difference in ability. Yeah, no, you know what? All the world figured that out thousands of years ago. And the Democrats somehow lost the ability to comprehend this. Well, when, about 10 years ago? Roughly 10 years ago. RuPaul was always a lot of fun. I always got a kick out of RuPaul. Can we just leave it at RuPaul and a couple of RuPaul-like people? Because then everybody'd be having a good time. RuPaul making a good living off of dressing up like a lady and not really being a lady, but here it is. An amateur Australian soccer team has stirred controversy after the squad, which includes 5 transgender women. That is Democrat code for men. See, when they say transgender women, what that means is men. In the liberal to English translation dictionary, transgender women means penises, testicles, testosterone, and every fiber of their fleshy being shows that their genetics are male. See, because you got your chromosomes, which the patriarchy figured out in the last century. You're welcome. And, honestly, you people are mentally ill. So, an amateur Australian soccer team controversy after the squad, which includes 5 transgender women, dominated a women-only tournament and claimed the $1,000 prize. And the guys beat up the girls and took the money for themselves. They slapped them around and took the money. I made up the last part, but only the last part. The Sydney-based Flying Bats FC. That'd be football club, I bet, because, I speak Australian. The Flying Bats Football Club. Some of them have bats and some of them don't. Went undefeated during the 4-week tournament, no kidding, including one game in which one of the transgender women, meaning a man, scored 6 goals en route to a 10-0 beatdown. Got the beatdown, and it's 10-zip. The Daily Telegraph reported, some parents pulled their daughters from matches over safety concerns. Imagine that, what bigots. officials from other soccer clubs in the Northwest Sydney League told the newspaper. And here's a photograph of the team. Look at the huge ones. There are 5 huge ones, and they got a whole bunch of like 12 or something soccer players, and 5 of them are actually men. They believe the Flying Bats, who are backed by Pride Football Australia. I'm going to guess the Pride, because Pride only means one thing. It means gay. Doesn't mean you're proud to be an Australian or proud to be, if you're proud to be white, you're a racist, right? If you're proud to be black, then you're just proud to be black. Because Democrats, the left, amazing. So they believe the Flying Bats, who are backed by Pride Football Australia, should instead play in the mixed gender games that include men and women. Well, that is what this has become in a de facto way. Our girls are here to play for fun and expect to play in all-female competition. They did not sign up for a mixed competition. Some of the parents, so concerned they would not let their daughters play, the officials continued. It was so disheartening for them to see the huge difference in ability. They're killing it. They're killing it. You know, we had that volleyball game and a dude who was pretending to be a lady leaped up and spiked the ball above the net, well above net level, nailed a young girl on the other side of the net in the face, broke her nose, permanent damage to her jaw. She's got permanent head injury, a traumatic brain injury, and she'll never be the same. It's pretty amazing stuff, I got to tell you. So the Flying Bats Football Club president, Jen Peden, P-E-D-E-N, is that Peden? Because that'd be kind of funny for a transgender thing, defended the club's tournament victory and said that the team stands for inclusion. They love these words. They just don't know what they mean. Trans women belong in the women's competition because that is the gender with which they identify. Yeah. With which gender does their penis identify? As a club, the Flying Bats Football Club stands strongly for inclusion and pride ourselves on safe, respectful, and fair play. It's not fair, and it's not respectful, and in all probability, it's also not safe. The promotion of a supportive community for the LGBTQIA plus players. How many people is that? That's a lot of people. You got the L, you got the G, you got the B, you got the T, you got the Q, you got I, then A, and then plus, just in case they left anything out. There's always the plus. This is the Chris Plant Show plus, just in case we left anything out. Amazing. So that's what they call themselves, liberals, you see. Just amazing. And I got to, if your daughter is playing on the team and you're not a liberal, you should pull your daughter off of the team and out of the league. And if you are a liberal, your daughter should lose every game. Just saying, because that's the way it is. And this is fun, too. NBC fake news. Going back and forth, my friend Brian Doherty on these things. And NBC fake news with a picture of a really crummy-looking bar with an awful paint job in an old building. And NBC News people say, capitalizing on the growing popularity of women's sports. They got that college basketball out of Iowa. It is kind of fun. Some bars are showing only women's sport on their TVs, redefining what it means to be a sports bar. Well, that's true. Is it a lesbian sports bar? I've been to at least 2 lesbian sports bars. At maybe 3. There's one in D.C. and there's one in Santa Barbara. It was kind of funny. The women attacked a couple of guys that walked in there one night, beat the hell out of them with pool cues and stuff. Classic stuff. NBC News lies. Fans are flocking to bars that show only women's sports on their TVs. Flocking might be an overstatement. There's a picture of the interior of a bar here. I think there are 9 people in the bar. Flocking may be an overstatement. With March Madness in full gear, establishments like a bar of their own in Minneapolis. And the sports bra in BRA instead of, see, it's a little dyslexia thing, but it's the sports bra instead of the sports bar in Oregon, where everyone has lost their minds, are redefining the sports bar. Very excited. And they report out of Minneapolis, long lines are expected. They don't wait for it. They just tell you what's going to happen in the future. This week outside a bar of their own. It's a bar of their own. See, it's a bar of their own. That means it's I think that, that implies, doesn't it, kind of a gay, lesbian sports bar. I think that's probably what's going on. But NBC News won't get into that because, and that's fine. Everybody loves lesbians. Everybody knows that everybody loves lesbians. But that is the, you're a Democrat thing. And if you walk into one, be careful because I've seen this happen before in Santa Barbara. It's the new lesbian-owned bar in Portland, Oregon, quickly become a popular spot for women and LGBTQ people. LGBTQ. I'm a member of the S community. S. Straight. We should come up with 7 different words that mean the same thing. That means straight, right? And we'd be like the straight, normal, ordinary, traditional. And we could have long abbreviation for being straight. Plus, and then we'll add a plus just in case we miss anything.
Well, straight, humble is shot, right?
We'll work on it. So we got to have a long abbreviation for that stuff. And fun story, Ronna Romney McDaniel, who was the RNC chair and then left and was hired by NBC and then fired by NBC. And Ronna McDaniel is reportedly chatting with Pitbull media lawyer and seeking to collect her full $600,000 contract or even more. And it's kind of great. I guess the lawyer is a lawyer that's represented Tucker Carlson in the past. And that's probably a good sign. And I talked about this the moment it happened. I said, well, gosh, I think that NBC is going to end up eating it big time. Now, this lawyer, Brian Friedman, worked for Tucker Carlson and for Don Lemon. Don Lemon got like $32 million or something, 30-something million dollars from, isn't that right? Or was it just 20-something million dollars from CNN after they fired him for being terrible?
24.5.
I apologize. Only $24.5 million for Don Lemon because he's so great at everything that he does. He is truly terrible, isn't he? What do we have? We have got so many. This is an amazing story out of Oakland, California, run by left-wingers. A 101, oh, wait a minute, he just turned 102. Yesterday he was 101. Now he's 102 years old. 102-year-old California father in wheelchair ordered to scrub graffiti off of his property, put there by Democrats with black and red spray paint cans, or face a $1,100 fine. He's 102 years old. 102-year-old wheelchair-bound California man was ordered to paint over his vandalized fence with his 70-year-old son or face a hefty fine. Victor Silva painted over the black and red graffiti on the back fence of his home where he's lived for the past 80 years after the city of Oakland implemented a March 19th deadline, according to KTVU. That's a TV station there. He said, 102 years old, just had a roller and a paintbrush and just painted it, Silva told the outlet. If Silva failed to comply with the order, he would face a $1,100 fine and an additional $1,277 each time he failed a re-inspection. Now, Democrats let criminals run free and graffiti everything, and the 102-year-old man, undoubtedly a World War II veteran at 102 years old, they're harassing him, rousting him, threatening him, and he'll be 103 in 2 months because the Democrats running Oakland. They're making everything better. It's so absurd. It's like a joke. If you drove around the city and see the graffiti everywhere, it's just, I don't know, to say, it's completely crazy. Silva's daughter-in-law, Elena Silva, say, just drive around the city. Take a look, but the 102-year-old man, he's going to pay through the nose because Democrats come by. They wave gang members from Venezuela into the country. But they'll make this 102-year-old man pay. They'll show him. Hey, it's Chris Plant. Excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. I love our friends at the Washington Free Beacon. The headline is Smithsonian opens, quote, Latinx internship program to all races in face of legal challenge. Move comes amid flurry of lawsuits challenging racial preferences. Now, you may remember Joe Biden talking about, because the Democrats want to eliminate gendered languages. You don't want to have Latina, Latino in Spanish or in Italian. Because they're genderless. They've severed their genitalia, put their genitalia in a Cuisinart. They make a smoothie out of it, and they slurp it with elbow straws. Joe Biden tried to get on the Latinx bandwagon, and he screwed. Now, Democrats pronounce it Latinx, but that's not how you would spell Latinx. That would be Latin space capital X. That would be Latinx, like Malcolm X or Malcolm the 10th. And here's Joe Biden trying to say Latinx.
Latinx.
Latinx. It's not Latinx, is it?
Latinx.
He thinks it's Latinx. It's a bathroom tissue and an ethnic group, and just amazing. But it turns out the Smithsonian, their Latino History Museum, will no longer use race to evaluate applicants for its prestigious internship program, according to a settlement agreement released yesterday, the latest in a series of legal blows, you think that's the right word, to race-based diversity initiatives in the wake of the Supreme Court's ban on affirmative action. So you could only get this internship reserved for Latina, Latino, and Latinx identifying undergraduate students. That would be gender-confused Latin Americans. But it's illegal because you're racists. And the Supreme Court said, hey, you guys are a bunch of racists. You can't do that in the United States because it's illegal to be racist like you. Also, Harvard in the skin-covered book.
Latinx.
I got to say, the fact that you got to sue Democrats to not be racist. Of course, we had to fight the Civil War to keep the Democrats from being racist, too. Good thing we won. Huh, black voters? Good thing the Democrats lost and the Republicans won. Too bad they shot and murdered the first Republican president, but never mind that. Too bad a Democrat Party presidential campaign volunteer shot and killed Martin Luther King, too. And fortunately for the Democrats, they've erased that from all tellings of the story. But it is amazing that first of all, they have these race-based museums in Washington, D.C., Smithsonian's Latino History Museum and the Black History Museum. And we should have an Asian and an Irish. I think we should have an Italian-American History Museum. But, we've got a scholarship here. It's an internship, rather. That's reserved for Latina, Latino, and Latinx identifying. Well, you're either one or the other. You're either Latina or Latino. Latinx is not a word, but okay. And I just want to give credit to the American Alliance for Equal Rights, because the American Alliance for Equal Rights, this kind of goes to The View and Whoopi and that whole gang that, how dare you want a colorblind society? Don't you know Democrats want a racially balkanized society? And they're good at creating that racially balkanized society, too. Filthy racists that they are. So the American Alliance for Equal Rights sued the museum, which they say explores Hispanic American history. Sure, isn't that part of American history? Should that be segregated racially? Democrats say yes. And is located in Washington, D.C. And the American Alliance for Equal Rights alleged that the program violated the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. Rather than fight the lawsuit, the museum agreed to open the internship to all races. Thanks, racists. It changes the scoring rubric used to evaluate applicants, telling reviewers that they should not give preference or restrict selection based on race or ethnicity. I'll bet you $1 you go back and look at who got the scholarships and the internships, rather, and it will all be Latinx. Okay, Latino and Latina, because of all that. So screw you, Smithsonian, you racist B-words. Also, this is amazing, Fox News. George Floyd Scholarship violates federal civil rights law, lawsuit claims. See, you got to sue them to keep them from being racist. They're Democrats. Students must, quote, be a student who is black or African American. That is, a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. So if you're Libyan or Moroccan, perhaps not. You're not entitled to that. A university scholarship only offered to black students is a violation of U.S. federal civil rights law, but the Democrats love racial discrimination, according to a legal complaint filed with the Department of Education Office of Civil Rights. North Central University's George Floyd Scholarship violates Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits educational institutes from racial discrimination. But the Democrats demand we continue with racial discrimination, like on The View. Because it is only open to black students, the legal watchdog group Equal Protection Project of the Legal Insurrection Foundation. I love it. The Equal Protection Project of the Legal Insurrection Foundation argued in the complaint shared with the College Fix. I love the College Fix. They're wonderful. Through its George Floyd Memorial Scholarship, the private Christian university in Minneapolis, Minnesota, quote, engages in invidious discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin, according to the complaint, which is obviously true. And here's a fun sign: discrimination in the name of diversity is wrong. To qualify for the scholarship, the students must be a student who's black, African American, a person having origin of any of the black racial groups in Africa, according to the information page. The scholarship was created June 4th of 2020 to invest like never before in a new generation of young black Americans who are poised and ready to take leadership of our nation, North Central University President Scott Hogan said at the time. So, like George Floyd, the fentanyl addict, the career criminal in and out of jail, arrested more times than even he could count, the George Floyd scholarship eligibility requirements are openly racially discriminatory. Equal Protection founder William Jacobson told the College Fix, regardless of the purpose of the racial discrimination, it is wrong and unlawful. NCU needs to come up with a remedial plan to compensate students shut out of the George Floyd scholarship due to discrimination. But they love discrimination. Come on. If they can't discriminate based on race, what's the matter with them? For the love of everybody knows. All right, now this story is completely berserk. That Harvard has been overrun by anti-Semites. And the president, who is now just a $900,000 a year professor, Claudine Gay, was excused from her position after proving what an anti-Semite, a smug, smirking anti-Semite she is. Amazing stuff. But Harvard has some other problems, too. They've got a lot of problems, really. Now, here are a couple of headlines, and all I can find is the BBC, the British Broadcast Corporation, covering it. 2 days ago, Harvard University removes human skin binding from book. They didn't want to throw out the book. They really wanted to keep the book. It's a really good book. So they just took the human skin binding off of it. And then, just amazing, they did discover this book years ago now. And 10 years ago, in fact, I found a story, and again, it's still just the BBC and not the New York Times, the Washington Post, or CNN. Harvard, this is 2014 in the BBC. Harvard University book bound in human skin. All right, now they received the book in the 1930s, and they knew that they had this human skin covered book from France from the 1930s. And they kept it there on the shelves, and probably a bunch of Harvard students leafed through it and read it. And so now the story is, from today, Harvard University removes human skin binding from book, but they really want to keep the book. So we got that. Harvard University has removed the binding of human skin from a 19th century book kept in its library, but there's more. And it is the Destinies of the Soul in French. The Destinies de l'Ami, right? The Destinies of the Soul has been housed at the Houghton Library since the 1930s. In 2014, scientists determined that the material it was bound with was, in fact, human skin. But the university has now, 10 years later, it took them 10 years because they like the human skin book on their shelves because they're creepy people. But the university has now announced it has removed the binding, quote, due to the ethically fraught nature of the book's origins and subsequent history. Origins and subsequent history, you see. So the story about the soul, they say Life After Death. It's about the soul and life after death, written by Arsène Hussein in the 1880s. But it turns out that the book was bound with the skin of a woman who they say had died of natural causes in the 1930s. And they took the book from the 1880s and bound it in human skin in France in the 1930s, which is more than just a little bit creepy. But what do you care? It's just, what is it, your mom? Come on. So the Democrats there have decided to remove the skin, but not the book. Maybe you should just send it back to France. Let them deal with it. What do you think? All right, let's go to, there is news out of New York today. Harvard and their human skin books. The whole human skin library. It's not even a medical book. Pretty creepy.
I'm very important. I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells of rich mahogany.
Maybe the book, they should send it to Ron Burgundy, anchorman extraordinaire, San Diego, California. All right, now let's get to, that's in many leather-bound volumes. And his home smells of rich mahogany. And the Harvard Library, I've been wondering what that smell was. So here is left-wing Axios. Biden fundraiser with Obama and Clinton expected to raise $25 million. $25 million tonight. Where are they going? They're going to Radio City Music Hall in New York City. And they're very excited. They're going to raise $25 million because they have celebrities there. They've invited celebrities, and you know how Democrats are and celebrities and all that stuff, right? Now, the celebrities that they have include Mindy Kaling. Never heard of her. Leah Michelle. Then they got Lizzo. Lizzo is there. Queen Latifah. I actually always kind of like Queen Latifah. She's fun. A guy named Ben Platt. Ben Platt is there. And Cynthia Irvio. No, Erivo. It's Erivo. So these are the stars. They call them stars. They're like stars in the sky. Stars to attend Biden's campaign fundraiser. But importantly, Barack Obama is going, and Bill Clinton is allegedly going to show up. And they have the photographer extraordinaire, Annie Leibovitz, who photographs a lot of celebrity people. And according to the New York Post, if you pay $100,000, you get your picture taken with yourself and Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton. You might get goosed there, depending on a lot of different things. But $100,000, and in fact, the Washington Post yesterday said you could pay $500,000 to attend, and I assume you get your picture with your $500,000. Doesn't that exceed the legal limit that you can donate to politicians? The law doesn't apply to them. They don't care about the law. So the New York Post reported yesterday, Dem donors can pay $100,000 for Annie Leibovitz photo with Biden, Obama, and Bill Clinton. The Washington Post said you could actually pay up to $500,000. Maybe you get two pictures. Maybe you get a skin-covered book or something like that. But then there is another reality, and that is that President Trump will not be attending the Biden fundraiser, as you might imagine, but President Trump will be in New York. And he'll be in New York because he's going to be attending the memorial service for the NYPD officer who was murdered by a Democrat a couple of days ago, 31-year-old Jonathan Diller. And I got to say, President Trump is winning big time on this one. You guys, on the same day, you're not, and President Trump called the Diller family almost immediately. He was on the phone with them. He's going to New York to attend the funeral and or the memorial service and spend more time with the family, while the Democrats are hanging out with Lizzo and some guy that nobody's ever heard of and collecting $500,000 a head to get your Annie Leibovitz photo. Well, can you imagine what an insufferable bunch of expletives deleted these people are? So let's go to, because when I saw this morning on the Fox News channel, they were covering this a bit, and they had on the president of the Sergeants Benevolent Association, Vincent Vallalong, NYPD Sergeants Benevolent Association, and Craig, I talking about the funeral of Jonathan Diller, and the Democrats not attending, and President Trump attending.
Jonathan Diller's family deserves every accolade that is presented to them. Whether it be a past president or a sitting president, it means a lot.
It means a lot that President Trump is attending, and it is also noteworthy and noted that Joe Biden will not be attending. Vincent Vallalong, the president of the NYPD's Sergeants Benevolent Association. It's a union in effect.
It's directed at the city council, who seems to believe that criminals in today's day and age should be considered to be the victims of crimes, and that the police department and the police officers, they come and give their lives day in and day out. They're the ones who are the villains in this story. Now,
he wrote a letter. The head of the police union wrote a letter, a public letter, and calling out the Democrats for their anti-police policies, and honestly declaring, the blood is on their hands for this police officer's shooting. This is a guy who, the headline in the New York Post today is a picture of the now deceased police officer with his young bride and their 1-year-old boy. And it says, "This is your fault." And it is the Vincent Vallalong letter, the union's message to anti-police politicians. You're not welcome at the police officer's funeral. Do not come to the police. So you anti-police, police defunding lefties, you're not invited. Don't come. President Trump is coming, but the rest of you, he's pro-police. Democrats are anti-police, pro-murder, and from the police union.
I have a lot of pride in what it is that I do, and I think every other police officer does. It's difficult when you have other people, especially the politicians, that don't feel the same way and are against you, that do nothing but vilify you. I mean, this is about the kids. This is about our children. It's about our families. We send them off to work or off to school every single day, and we expect them to come home. We don't need these politicians to turn the laws against us. And what they're doing is they're kind of like degrading what society is.
The headline, NYPD Sergeants Union warns anti-police New York Pauls, that's Democrats, to stay away from slain cop Jonathan Diller's funeral. And they included specifically the Speaker of the Council, Adams, Public Advocate Williams, naming them, calling them out by name. Very, very good for Vincent Fallon. God bless you. And just wonderful that conservatives have raised money. Dave Portnoy, $1.5 million for the family. And it's important, I think, to publicly disinvite the anti-police Democrats. Wah, wah, wah. But Midtown Manhattan will be flooded with pro-Hamas leftists today when Biden and Obama and Clinton destroy traffic in Manhattan and go to hang out with celebrities while ignoring the murdered police officer. They're going to flood Manhattan for Gaza today because they're not on the side of Western civilization. The Democrat phony currency vendor Sam Bankman-Fried has been sentenced to 25 years in prison. Sam Bankman-Fried sentenced to 25 years in prison for his many misdeeds. It has been reported Manhattan court ruled today. And he's a Democrat, Sam Bankman-Fried. And P. Diddy. P. Diddy's a Democrat. And he hasn't been charged yet. He hasn't actually been charged with anything yet. And he's in the United States. His Gulfstream jet flew to the Caribbean and back. But he's still in the United States. He hasn't been charged. And the raid, the bin Laden-style raid on his property is pretty wacky stuff. Listen, a lot to talk about tomorrow already because of the ridiculous Democrat fundraiser, the funeral for a slain police officer, Jonathan Diller, and a lot more.